New York City, a global symbol of power, culture, and ambition. The city that never sleeps, home to Wall Street, Broadway, and Times Square. But beneath the skyline, behind the glamour, lies a side of New York that most tourists never see. In this documentary, we expose the city's growing struggles, rising crime, homelessness, failing infrastructure, and social division. This isn't the New York you'll find in glossy travel ads. This is the dark side of New York, a city on the edge. The city of extremes. New York has always been a city of extremes. Unimaginable wealth rubbing shoulders with deep poverty. Fifth Avenue boutiques and luxury penthouses exist blocks away from homeless encampments and public housing. Today, those extremes are growing wider. The middle class is shrinking, and the gap between rich and poor has become a chasm. Many longtime residents feel the city no longer belongs to them. And the numbers tell the story. Tens of thousands of people live without permanent shelter, while billionaires purchase penthouses they rarely use. The crime comeback after decades of decline. Crime in New York is once again making headlines. Subway stabbings, smash and grab robberies, violent assaults in broad daylight. Once considered one of the safest big cities in America, New York is now facing a dangerous reversal. Some blame bail reform laws that have allowed repeat offenders to walk free. Others point to underfunded police departments or the social fallout of the pandemic. Whatever the cause, the reality is clear. Many New Yorkers feel less safe today than they did 10 years ago. Life underground beneath New York's busy streets lies another world. The subway tunnels, forgotten train lines, and underground communities. In these dark, echoing spaces, hundreds of unhoused people find shelter, forming a hidden society in the shadows. While outreach teams and social workers try to help, the lack of mental health support and affordable housing makes progress difficult. For some, the tunnels offer the only escape from the chaos above. The mental health crisis. New York is facing a silent epidemic, an overwhelming mental health crisis. The pandemic accelerated the problem, but it's been building for decades. The result? Unpredictable outbursts in public, overloaded emergency rooms, and rising numbers of untreated individuals living on the streets. Police are often the first responders in mental health cases, despite lacking the training or resources to deal with them. The city's fragmented system leaves many to fall through the cracks. The homelessness emergency. New York shelters more homeless people than any other U.S. city. But visible homelessness is only part of the problem. Thousands more live in temporary housing, couch surf, or sleep in cars. Rent prices continue to climb, and eviction protections are expiring. Efforts to solve homelessness have faced public backlash, political infighting, and logistical nightmares. The result is a crisis with no clear end in sight. The broken subway. The New York City subway system, once a marvel of engineering, is now a symbol of urban neglect. Delays, breakdowns, and unsafe conditions plague daily commuters. Budget cuts, aging infrastructure, and vandalism have left the system vulnerable. Meanwhile, subway crime has increased, and many riders avoid public transport altogether. For a city that depends on its underground veins, the failure of the subway is a warning sign of deeper dysfunction. Division and displacement. Gentrification has transformed entire neighborhoods, pushing out low-income families, artists, and longtime residents. Communities in Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx are changing rapidly, often without the input or consent of those who live there. As luxury towers rise, so do tensions. Who gets to stay? Who is forced to leave? And what happens to a city when its culture is priced out? The school system in crisis. Public schools in New York are facing a storm of issues. Underfunding, overcrowding, and safety concerns. Teachers are leaving, parents are frustrated, and students are struggling in outdated classrooms. While elite private institutions flourish, many public schools lack even the basics. The educational divide reflects and reinforces the city's deeper economic gaps. The housing squeeze. Affordable housing is vanishing in New York. Median rents have reached record highs, and even middle-income earners are being priced out. Entire working-class neighborhoods are being gutted by luxury developments and speculative real estate investment. Public housing, once a lifeline for low-income families, is falling into disrepair. Mold, broken elevators, and heating failures are common complaints. Meanwhile, developers receive tax breaks to build high-end apartments most New Yorkers will never afford. The housing crisis is not just about lack of supply, it's about who the city is being built for and who gets left behind. The business exodus. Once the economic engine of the world, New York is now watching key industries slip away. High taxes, cost of living, and concerns over crime have led many companies, especially in finance and tech, to relocate to cities like Miami, Austin, and Nashville. Remote work trends accelerated by the pandemic have only added to the flight. As office buildings sit half empty and small businesses shutter, the tax base shrinks, City services are strained, and layoffs loom. This business exodus could fundamentally reshape New York's future, economically and culturally. Will it remain a hub of innovation or become a relic of the past? Policing and public trust. The relationship between the NYPD and the communities it serves has never been more strained. Years of over-policing, racial profiling, and brutality have eroded trust. Recent calls for reform and accountability have clashed with rising concerns over public safety. Officers report feeling unsupported and overwhelmed, while residents fear both crime and abuse. Effective public safety requires mutual trust, but in New York, that trust is on life support. The question is not just how to police the city, but how to rebuild the bond between the public and those sworn to protect it. The drug epidemic, like many American cities, New York is in the grip of a devastating drug crisis. Fentanyl-related overdoses have skyrocketed, claiming lives in every borough. Open-air drug use is no longer shocking, it's expected in some neighborhoods. Harm reduction advocates push for safe consumption sites and expanded treatment, while critics argue such policies normalize addiction. The city is caught in a moral and medical dilemma. Without action, thousands more will die. Yet the stigma around addiction continues to block the very reforms that could save lives. It's a slow-motion tragedy unfolding on New York's busiest streets. Environmental inequality, climate change is exposing New York's infrastructure weaknesses, and the poor often pay the highest price. Rising sea levels, extreme heat, and flooding threaten public housing developments, subways, and aging power grids. Events like Hurricane Sandy showed how unprepared the city is for environmental disasters. Lower-income neighborhoods, often built on vulnerable land, lack resources for recovery. Green energy initiatives remain concentrated in wealthier areas. Environmental justice in New York is not just about sustainability, it's about equity. Who gets protected, and who gets left behind when disaster strikes? The media mirage. Despite these deep systemic issues, New York is still marketed as the cultural and financial capital of the world. Television shows, movies, and tourism campaigns present a sanitized version of city life. But the curated imagery hides the pain behind the curtain. This media mirage shapes public perception and influences policy. It also silences those who live the daily realities of fear, instability, and survival. True reform begins with truth, and that means confronting the stories too often left out of the spotlight. Can New York be saved? Despite everything, New York remains a city of resilience. From grassroots organizers to everyday citizens, people are fighting back, pushing for reforms, helping their neighbors, demanding accountability. The problems are massive, but so is the potential. New York has been on the edge before. It survived the blackouts, the crack epidemic, 9/11, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Whether it recovers now depends on collective will. Will the city double down on inequality or rise to become a fairer, safer, more human place? Only time will tell. The dark side of New York is real, but so is its potential for change. What happens next depends on whether the city can learn from its past, listen to its people, and fight for a future that works for everyone, not just the privileged few. Subscribe to USA Geography for more documentaries that expose the truth beneath the surface.